This is yoga for men in their 60s. If you are a guy who's getting frustrated with feeling stiff in the mornings, if you just want to start your day feeling a bit better, this is a gentle, beginner friendly routine, no flexibility required. We're going to walk you through a simple series of stretches and yoga postures, some mobility exercises that's going to help you kind of shake off that feeling of stiffness and get into your day feeling better. I've got my dad here today. So he's 67 years old. He's been doing yoga for a few years now. He still wakes up feeling stiff, probably because he's exercising more now. But we're going to walk you through the routine to help out. I've got 2 mats, blocks, straps here. You don't need all this stuff. If you just have a mat, that's great. If you have blocks, cool. You could also use a water bottle or a knee or a foam roller if you don't have that. We're going to get started in a simple low lunge position. So if you have a knee pad, great. If you have a towel or a sweatshirt, that's also helpful. So put the knee pad where your knee goes. Again, you don't need it, but it is helpful. And we're going to step your left leg back. Use your blocks. Rest your hands on the blocks. And we're just going to ease into this stretch. So blocks are going to be on either side of your front foot. You want to make sure that you're staying somewhat upright in this position. The more upright you are, the better the stretch will be through the left hip. With the back leg, you want your toes tucked. Most of us spend a lot of time during the day wearing shoes. So the toes tend to get stiff, the ankles get stiff. That goes up the chain to the knees and the back. So go ahead and stretch your toes out as we're here. I like starting off with knees down and also with your hands on the blocks, just because if it's first thing in the morning, you're just easing into the stretch. It's a lot easier than, standing up and doing something more energetic. So use the blocks as much as you need. You can rest your hands on the blocks. You can kind of let your chin relax and hang forward. And then the knee can just relax on the pad. Start to breathe in and out of your nose as you're here. So really slow, controlled breaths. If you're noticing that you wake up and you've got a lot of thoughts running, or you just want to be a bit more focused for the day, try to focus on your breathing, focus on your body, and that will carry over into the rest of your day. All right, let's go ahead and switch sides. So now we're just going to bring the left leg forward and the right leg back, basically holding these poses for about 1 minute per side for the most part. The goal here is really focusing on that morning stiffness. We're not focused on dramatically improving flexibility here. That would be holding the poses for a bit longer time. We also don't want to make you overly sore, so getting in these 60-second stretches is a good amount of time, especially for guys in that 60 age range. And if you're new to this or you're newer to yoga in general, it's a good place to start with. So as we're here, feeling the stretch through the front of the right hip, you want to think about kind of keeping your chest upright as you're here, starting to reinforce good posture for the day. You can also see you've got different height blocks. So for me, I like using this is the standard size blocks. If you're a bigger or taller or just a less flexible guy, you're going to use taller blocks. He actually doesn't need these. He's just doing this for show because he's been doing yoga for a while now. But if you are newer or taller, those tall blocks help out a lot. So as you hold this, you're starting to feel, right, you're easing into the pose, your body's opening up, maybe feeling a little less stiff, and we'll keep this going and keep targeting other parts of the body. All right, go ahead and release, and then set your blocks aside. We're gonna go down onto your back from here, and bring your feet in toward your butt. And we're going to come up into a bridge. So plant your feet, go ahead and press down through your feet and drive your hips into the air. Yep. And then, Dad, you can spread your feet a couple inches. There you go, right that. So your feet are about hip width distant. The insides of your feet are parallel to parallel to one another. And here I want you to focus on hip engagement. So yes, you are arching your back here, but we really want to focus on hip engagement. And this is the morning, so it doesn't have to be too intense. Our goal with this routine is kind of easing into the day. This is ideally something that you can just wake up and get straight into. So don't feel like you have to push yourself that much. You should feel stretching through the fronts of your hips as you're here. Lower back, abs, thighs are working. If you worked out yesterday, you might feel
a little fatigued here, that's normal. This is good for recovery though, get some blood flow into those muscles. All right, then let's go ahead and release down. And then bring your knees over your hips and bring your feet in toward your butt. And then I'm just going to have you kind of gently move from side to side, just these little twists. You don't have to go all the way over to the side. Start to tighten your abs. And so the goal here is to give your back a little relief from that stretch we just did, but also start to shift the work of this workout into your abs. Most of us, the low back feels really stiff because we're using the low back too much. So try to pull that and squeeze your abs instead of feeling your low back working here. And then from here we're going to move into a twist, and this is my dad's favorite stretch. So we're going to bring your legs over to the right, and then just go ahead and hold it. Let them come all the way down. Bring your right hand on top of your left knee. Your head can relax down. And you want to think opening up through your chest here. So if you can get your left shoulder toward the ground, it doesn't have to touch the ground. For a lot of guys, it won't actually touch the ground. So your chest is facing up and your hips are facing to the outside. And you can actually push your hand into your right knee or your left knee and push your knee back into your hand to create a little bit of resistance there to help open that up. And you should feel the stretch kind of through the outer hip and the lower back. Once again, we want to check in with the breathing here. Make sure that you're breathing slow and controlled in and out of your nose. And we focus on that nasal breathing to try and inhibit the sympathetic response. So we want to keep you in a rest and digest state. So keeping your body relaxed so you can stretch and open up. Go ahead and bring your legs back to the middle. And in the future, if you want to hold that for a longer time, you can hold that for 2 or 3 minutes, but just for the sake of this workout, moving along. Bring your legs over to the left now. Yep. Left hand on top of your right knee. You can bring your right arm to the outside. So you want to try to get your right shoulder to the ground. If it doesn't touch, that's okay. Again, that's pretty normal, especially if you're in your 60s or you're newer to yoga or just mobility work in general. Your shoulder might not touch the ground. I know that for him, it didn't used to touch the ground, and now it looks like it's touching the ground. So, progress happens over time. Most important thing is just trying to be as consistent as possible. Less about heroic efforts, more about consistency. So things like this little 15-minute routine, and trying to do this maybe 3 times per week, that's what we want to aim for. Not necessarily trying to do an hour every day, but getting something, getting a manageable routine in place. Again, so feeling the low back opening up, the hips, maybe some stretching through the chest here as well. I like to think deep breathing into the rib cage as I'm here, especially in these twists. So as you inhale, think about expanding through your rib cage. As you exhale, try and relax a little bit further into the twist. All right, let's go ahead and come back to the middle. Yep, and then plant your feet. And we're going to go ahead and sit up and come into a standing position. So the hips, the back, abs are warmed up. We've got your hips open, back stretched, core starting to be active. We're going to face long edge of the mat. Yep. And then go wide with your feet. And you want your feet turned somewhat in, so your toes are actually a little bit closer than the outsides of your feet. Yep. And then from here, bring your chest forward and then hinge down into a wide-legged stretch. So this is where I like the blocks. So blocks here. And so what we want to do here with the spine, ideally if you're looking at yourself from the side, you want your back to be flat here. So we're going to focus on kind of reaching your tailbone up here, kind of like tilting your pelvis upward, and then getting a deeper stretch through the inner thighs and the hamstrings. And then instead of going down, thinking about pulling your chest forward, yep, like that. And try to tighten your abs just like you would during a plank. And then squeezing your quadriceps here. So feeling those muscles engage. Yep. And we're keeping a bit of a shadow between the arch of the foot and the ground. So you want to make sure that you're not caving into the insides of your feet, but keeping the arches engaged.
And then if you're here, you can also, if it feels good, you can bend your knees back and forth a little bit just to add a little bit of a stretch to it. That can feel good. I know for him, and probably most guys in their 60s, hamstrings tend to get really stiff. We've spent our entire lives sitting in chairs, so, that makes sense. There's only so much that we can do to undo decades of sitting in chair, but at least we can do something about it, in the morning. If you stop doing it, your body will eventually revert back to that feeling of not ever stretching your hamstrings. So just try to be as consistent with it as you can. All right. And let's go ahead and come back up from there. Good. We'll bring feet back together and then back to the top of the mat. So next stretch we're going to do is a high lunge. So we're going to have our right leg forward, take a step back with your left foot. Now depending on balance here, if you can have your heel up off the ground and you feel secure enough to stand here, you can do that. Another option is to put your back foot down all the way and turn it out 45 degrees. So now we're kind of in a more of a warrior one position here. So I'll give you guys the option. The warrior one is going to give you a bit more stability, also get more of a calf stretch. So then from here we want to try to keep the right shoulder kind of rolling back so the chest is opening up to the front, allowing the hips to kind of sink forward. So we're getting a stretch through the groin. And then we'll bring the arms up. And instead of just lifting your arms up, I want you to be a bit more intentional with it. So pretend like you're holding a beach ball overhead. So you're really squeezing whatever it is overhead. Your arms are active here. And we're breathing in and out of the nose. So you should feel your upper back working, right, as you squeeze your arms back and hold whatever you have, that imaginary object between your hands. Stretching through the hips. And you want to lead with the hips here, so your hips are going in front and your chest is kind of coming back a little bit here. Yep. All right, let's go ahead and relax. And then we'll switch sides. So now left leg forward, right leg back. Again, we're going to point that back foot out 45 degrees just for a bit more stability. You want to try and keep your hips and your chest facing straight forward. Yep, and if you notice that you're arching your back to be in this position, you can bring your feet a little bit closer together. Ideally, if you look at yourself from the side, it's just a straight line up and down with your spine. You're neutral, you're not extended. And then we'll go arms up again. Again, you're going to hold that beach ball overhead, so active through the arms. And then also another variation here that's good to do, you can do goalpost arms. So drop your elbows level to the shoulders. And for guys who are tighter through the shoulders, if you notice that your neck kind of goes up and your shoulders come up near your ears when you lift your arms, goalpost arms is a really nice alternative there. And then with goalpost arms, you're going to squeeze your elbows back so you feel your upper back working a bit more. There'll be a bit more stretching through the chest. And then always coming back to that breathing, especially when it starts to get difficult, right? If this is new, holding a posture, even just holding a posture can be challenging on the muscles. So always coming back to the breathing to try and make it easier. Again, try to take yourself out of that fight or flight mode and into that rest, digest, parasympathetic state. All right, then we'll go ahead and relax. Stand up. And then I'm going to have you guys grab a strap. So if you don't have a strap, you can grab a dog leash. You can grab literally anything that's a piece of fabric, a t-shirt. And you're going to hold it about shoulder width distant. And then we're going to go feet touching, heels an inch apart. If that's uncomfortable, you can stand with your feet a couple inches apart. And then we'll go arms up, holding that strap. And then squeeze your arms back a little bit more just so you feel your upper back working. Now we're going to breathe up, get tall. And as you exhale, go ahead and lean to your right, press your hips just a little bit to the left. So coming into a standing side bend. And this is a really, really good one for stiffness. So here we're opening up the shoulders, we're opening up the outer hips. You're feeling your abs and your thighs work. So as you're here, you want to make sure that you're squeezing your thighs. Both legs are straight here. You're not bending one leg and straightening the other. We're going to make sure that the chest is facing straight forward here. So for most people, that means rolling back the left shoulder just a little bit. And then we're thinking pressing up and over. So not just going to the side, but also getting taller. So as you're inhaling, getting taller. As you're exhaling, leaning a little bit more to the side. Okay, let's go ahead and come back to the middle. Relax the strap, relax your arms, and then we're going to go strap behind the back now. So you're going to hold the strap with your palms facing your body at about hip width distant or a little shoulder width distant. And then we're going to work on squeezing the elbows toward one another. So not just holding my arms, not just straightening the arms, but actually squeezing the elbows toward one another so I get my upper back involved. And then from here, now straightening the arms and reaching the arms back, getting a bit more of a chest stretch there. And then think about puffing your chest out here. So I want you to lift your chest up, kind of arching the back, upper back if you can. Almost like you're pulling your chest through your body, pulling your chest through the arms. So this is a really good one for posture. Yep. So again, thinking about pulling your chest up, almost like your chest is being lifted to the ceiling. And maybe even looking slightly up here to add a little bit more of a back bend. All right, and then go ahead and release. Now going to the other side. So now strap in front of us, arms overhead, breathe up. And as you exhale, arms to the left, hips to the right. And once again, you want to make sure that you're tall here. Okay, so don't just collapse to the side, but think about getting up as tall as you can and then leaning to the side. Now as you're here, you want to feel a stretch from the right hip all the way up through the left shoulder. It is really helpful to use a mirror or even record yourself. So just put your phone next to you and you can see what your posture looks like as you're doing these. Very often what you think you look like and what you actually look like are very different things. And those little technique and adjustments make a big change. So here for about 45 seconds, give it another breath, lift up a little taller, go a little bit deeper into it. Remember, try to maintain some strength here, not just stretching, but also strengthening. And then come back to the middle and go ahead and release your hands down. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you to my dad for being involved in my birth and joining us today. So he's been doing yoga probably for 10, 12 years now. He was one of my first clients. He took pity on me and helped me get started. So with this, he used to joke that he never used to be sore, and now he's sore all the time because he exercises. I like to look at it as more proactive. You know, you're being sore now as opposed to in pain, and you didn't have any choice to be in pain later on. But anyways, as long as you're consistent with the routines, you can work on your flexibility. He didn't used to be able to do any of this, and now he can. So 3 times per week is generally what we aim for. This is part of a Yoga for Guys in Their 60s series that we're creating. So subscribe so you can see the rest of these videos. If you have a question or a comment, leave it in the comment section below. Like the video if you found it helpful. And if you want to go back and check out, I've got a Yoga for Guys in Their 50s routine, which is also really good. Go ahead and click over my shoulder now. Check it out. And I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.